Hello and welcome. Thank you very much for joining another interview here with the Fly 180 Motorsports YouTube series. I am very happy and very excited to have two people joining me. Actually, I believe this is the first father-son duo joining. We have Mr. Matthew Winter Jr. and Senior. Hello, guys. How are you?
Good. How are
Good, how
you?
are you?
Good. Thank you very much for joining. And I have, for all the viewers, I have our title as Aspiring Late Model Racer. We're going to get to that in a little bit, and we're going to define that. But before we do, I want people to become just a little bit familiar with who Junior is and who Senior is. So just in a nutshell, and we'll leave it up to you, Matt, Junior. How old are you? A little background, what grade you're in, where you guys live, and if you want, you can even let your dad answer a couple of those questions too. All right, but go ahead, give us a little background.
I am a freshman in high school. I am 14 years old and I go to Springfield High School in Springfield, Vermont.
Excellent. And your dad, sir, Mr. Senior. Whereabouts in the country, in the world, are you located?
Northeast
And
in
can you what state you're in?
in Vermont.
In Vermont. Excellent. And when I go through these interviews with each person, people are involved in many different tracks around the world that a lot of us have really never heard of before. Everyone has their local track. Everyone has their favorite track, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these facilities go unmentioned. And so many people, they play such a big role in so many people's lives, especially on the grassroots level. But can you guys tell us, what would you consider your home track? What would you consider the track that you guys kind of became comfortable with, grew up on, or the one that you know like the back of your hand?
Well, I grew up in Missouri, so the track that I know in the back, like the back of my hand, is Federated Auto Parts Speedway in Missouri, and that I've been going to that track since I was like in a stroller. And my sixth grade year in middle school, I moved up here, so now I race at Monadnock Speedway, and now I know that track like the back of my hand as well.
Excellent, excellent. And Junior, I think for the viewers to really kind of fill them in, what form of racing are you currently doing at this very moment?
At this very moment, I am doing a four-cylinder class at Monadnock Speedway, which is like uh, little kids from like 12 to 15 I'm racing against.
Excellent. And what led you into that class? What was your path, say, over the last year or two? What other forms or what other series were you doing that led you right into this current class?
I was doing sprint kart racing on the national level. National level. It's called the AKRA Series, American Kart Racing Association, and you race all over the Northeast and stuff like that. And I'm the 2018 national champion in that series.
That's incredible. That's awesome. And I think senior, as a parent, when you hear junior say something like that and mention something like that's got to just be like, you just got to kind of have that little twinge go through your body, like
Proud papa
yes,
moment for sure.
yeah, that's just such a good thing to hear your son say. Um, Tell me who who's pulling who to the track more these days? Is it Junior? Are you pulling your dad to the track, or is it Senior pulling Junior to the track, or do you guys kind of play off each other?
We kind of play off each other most of the time.
Yeah.
Depends
Tell
on
me
the
what
day.
that's like. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Senior. Go ahead.
He said, depending on the
It
day.
depends on the
Right.
day.
Tell me a little bit about uh, a race day right now. When was your last race?
My last race was last weekend at Claremont Motorsports Park.
Okay. So on race day, give us a little insight into what Team Winter is doing. Okay. It's race day. Uh, who's waking who up? Who's pulling who out of bed? Who's prepping? Who's prepping the cars? Who's going through the checklist? Who's Give me some background. Give me some detail. How does Team Winter work on the morning of race day, all the way up to arriving at the track?
Dad is waking up Matthew out of bed,
Right.
and the car's already on the trailer most of the time, and the tools are already situated, ready to go on the trailer. And then we leave the house at probably 8 or 9 o'clock
Right.
to get to the track by at least 11 or 12
Okay.
for practice.
You took one giant leap over a lot of the details there,
Oh,
which is you said the car is already on the trailer and the tools are already set. To me, there's a lot of work behind getting the car on the trailer and getting all the tools all set. Who does all that work?
I get most of the time it's both of us, but I most of the time, well, Dad is making sure everything is all tightened up and ready to go. I'm getting all the tools situated so I can put the tools in the trailer
Right.
on race day. And then the night before, Dad will get in the car and drive it up on the trailer, and I will make sure like he's not gonna fall off the trailer and stuff like that.
Excellent. As a father-son team, I've heard drivers speak about how members of their team might be members of their family, and the information that they might extract from them to obviously improve. Obviously, you guys are living together. You're so Matt, you're involved. Obviously, you're in school, and you have a full school schedule, friends. But now you have this alternate life as a racer, right? And Dad is helping you, and is an integral part of that alternate life. Senior, what would you say? And I'm going to ask both of you pretty much the same question here, but Senior, what would you say you perceive as your biggest role in Junior's racing career?
I just try to guide him,
Right.
and sponsor, I guess, at this point, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of financial responsibility that comes with it. That's a big thing, and then just helping guide him.
Right.
And sometimes he gets down on himself when he's not doing well, so need to help guide him.
Right.
So he's not so hard on himself, and you got this,
Right.
man. You know.
Right. And Senior, from that standpoint of guidance, I think that's a huge. I mean, obviously, that's a huge role to play. Not only as someone involved in a team, someone is with experience, but also as a parent. And you have that fine line. I guess you kind of ride as, am I guiding him as a fellow team member, or am I guiding him as a parent? Do you find that it's tough is there a fine line there, or do you feel it's maybe a little bit easier than the way I'm explaining it?
I think it's really easy. We're pretty straightforward with each other, and we have our good days and we have our bad days.
Right.
We know where we stand with each other, and we say it like it is, and I just think it's easier that way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's difficult at all.
One more question for you, Senior, and then Junior, I'm going to come right over to you. Do you find that the results of Junior's racing is carried over into the personal life, or do you try to separate that? Like, do you have a rule internally that maybe you don't tell him, or maybe you're telling him now, but but is there a rule that maybe you have, like, okay, what happens at the track stays at the track?
No, because what
Right.
happens at the track comes home.
It does.
Sometimes it goes to school, especially if it's really good. It go every,
Right.
and sometimes when you have the bad days, that unfortunately comes home and lasts a day or two.
Right. Right. Are you glad that you're involved with his racing career when you see him like that, knowing the background behind why he's feeling, and that you can guide him also at home based on those results?
Absolutely, I love
Yeah.
it. It's it's
Excellent.
awesome, even on the hard days, you know. And then when he does good, then that I think it makes it sweeter,
Yeah.
because you know everything we've gone through.
Exactly. So, Junior, kind of along the same line of questioning, which would be, what do you feel your biggest role is in the team of Team Winter, right? In your relationship with your father, not only as a father but as a member of your team. What do you feel is the biggest thing you bring to the table in the racing relationship?
Well, in the racing relationship, I feel like I help a lot with like getting the car ready and making sure we're doing well and stuff like that. And if we're doing bad, I want to make sure Dad knows that maybe I need this to help me with the car, or I need this or something like that. And I feel like I just say I how to put this, but what's the way I can put this? Like say I need something and I want to make sure he knows about it.
Yeah,
And if he knows about it, he can help me, and then we can do even better.
that's an excellent answer. And I think what that does is really portrays such a very comfortable high level of communication between the two of you, which is excellent. And obviously that's going to make you guys operate like a fine tuned watch. Seriously, that's it's great to hear that. Um, who preps the car? Who's the person who says, based on the results of the last race, I'm going to tweak the car this way for the next race? Who's the person who's making those decisions?
It's a little bit of both of us. I'll come off the track and I'll tell him what I need, and then he'll be like, "How about we do this?" And I'll be like, "Or maybe can we do this or something?" If it's something I think we should do, I'll help him do what we're doing to the car to make it
Excellent.
better for the next session of practice or the heat race or even the main event.
Hmm. Excellent. Um, Senior, have do you feel that Junior has those mechanical abilities, like, to really get the car where it needs to? Like, can you guys operate independent of each other and completely set up a car for a race?
He's getting better. He's since we've been racing the full size car, he's been participating in a lot more of the mechanical part of the racing. When he was
Right.
in karts, he just kind of drove and was working on driving. Now he's working on the mechanical part and the driving part of it, which is
Right.
nice.
And do
And
you
there's a
feel
lot
by
more
his
learning to
involvement
come.
mechanically that it's increased the detail in his feedback during a race, after a race, and so on? So you know how to dial in a car, going forward.
Uh, can you say
Like, do
that
you feel
again?
do you feel from him working, like, becoming more involved mechanically on the car, that that's helping you guys? Like, he's giving you more detailed feedback on how the car is performing because he's, as a result of him becoming more involved mechanically.
Correct.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for him to understand exactly what is the car is doing,
Right.
why it's doing it. So it's a good thing for
Yeah.
sure.
And Junior, do you feel, by along those same lines, do you feel that by becoming more familiar mechanically with the car, it may assist you with making tweaks to your driving style because you understand a little bit more what to expect.
Yeah, definitely. So if I find the car doing, say, pushing on exit of the corner, maybe I'll back up my entry or something like that. Changing up my driving style definitely helps. And me knowing what the car is doing at all times also helps.
Yeah, that's great. So, Junior, tell me, did you give your dad the bug to race, or did
Um,
your dad give you the bug?
Well, I've always wanted to race at a very young age, and I got into racing because of him, because he was bringing me to that local track in Missouri. So I've always been bugging him to race, and I finally got my first go kart when I was 9. And then during the off season of when I was 9, we built the go kart, got it ready, and then on my 10th birthday, I started to race a go kart.
That's awesome. That's great. Tell me what it was like at that first one of those, those first couple of races where here you are with your father and you got the car out there and you're going through your race and then you guys are driving home from the track together. How cool was that? It was a good time?
It was a very good time. I
Yeah.
love those
Yeah.
times.
That's great. Now, let's talk about where you're racing right now, right? You're racing four-cylinder cars. And what was the name of the current series you're in?
Young Guns.
Young Guns, okay. And tell me a little bit about the path of from the series you're in now. What is your goal for the path you need to follow to achieve your goals? Like, what is it? You're in the Young Guns now. What comes next, and then what comes next after that?
Well, uh, right now my goal is to be better in Young Guns and stuff like that, but my future goal is to get in a late model. So I'm gonna work my butt off this year and this off season to get sponsors and like stuff like that. And next year, then we're going to get a late model in the 2020 season, a rolling chassis. And then that off season, we're going to work and get the late model ready for the 2021 season, hopefully. And then once I get that late model, we don't really know what I want to do, but I hopefully want to get it into a pro stock or something like that.
That's excellent. I think it helps, and that was very well said because it shows that you have that vision of where you need to be, where you want to be, where you need to be in order to achieve your goals. So you have that foresight. You see yourself down the road of where you need to be and where you want to be. So that's great. The one thing you touched on was sponsors, right? Um, and this is for both of you. Tell me who's involved with it. Who's involved with this dealing with the sponsors? As far as, and when I say dealing, I'm talking about uh, cultivating a new relationship with a sponsor, um, maintaining relationship with sponsors, and bottom line, I guess, just communicating on a regular basis with the sponsors. Who's tell me a little bit about how you guys are dealing with that now.
Most of the time, it's my dad and my stepmom, Liz, who communicate with the sponsors and try to help get the sponsors. But this winter, I'm going to hopefully try to help them with that and go around to local businesses and try to ask them to sponsor me and stuff like that to hopefully achieve that goal of getting a late model.
That's great. And from the the level of racing where you're at right now, and the reason why I asked this question is because people are going to watch this from all over the world, right? This video will be out there. So people who are racing in Finland or people who are racing in Japan kind of don't know what's involved in order to sustain a career in racing in your part of the world, right? So tell us a little bit more when you're trying to acquire a sponsor in Vermont for your racing series. What type of relationships are you looking to establish? Who is it with? What levels of commitments are you looking for? Give us a little bit of a background on that.
I'm hoping to make a good relationship, obviously, with them, and I'm looking for a commitment so they will help us more down the road. Maybe they'll help us a little bit the first year, but then maybe later down the road they'll help us even more. So it's taking some of the weight off my parents. And
Because we pay for all of it right now.
Right. Yeah. Are when I say the word sponsor to you, what's like the first things that flash through your head? Like, oh, I'm going to approach this type of business. Like, who is it? What kind of business is it? Or private investor? Like, who are you approaching for sponsorship?
We're this winter we're gonna approach some local businesses,
Right.
because he's a local kid, and I think they're gonna be more apt to help us out.
Right.
So we're gonna go and talk to some of them this off season
Right.
and see what we can come up with.
Local businesses would be more of locally owned businesses
Correct.
within your
Correct.
area, not like a Walmart that happens to be in your area.
Right? No, locally owned by.
Yeah. Right. So people that you may be bumping into at church that own a
Correct.
hardware store
Correct.
would be the type of people you'd be approaching.
Correct.
Got it. Excellent. Well, obviously, I wish you nothing but the best with that, because
It's the hardest part.
that's the hardest part. Exactly.
Hardest part.
That's the hardest part. So, Junior, tell me a little bit about. You mentioned you just had a race last weekend.
yeah,
Okay. So, and the races are typically on what days? On like a Saturday or a Sunday?
they're normally on Saturday.
Okay. So, you're in school. You have a regular school schedule, correct? Monday through Friday?
Yes.
Okay. How are we doing integrating your racing with your schooling and all your other weekly commitments?
Well, Monday through Friday, I go to school. I do all my classes, and then right when I get out of school, normally I would have soccer, and I'd go to soccer practice, or even if I have a game, and then I would go home. And if Dad's already working on the car, I would rush right down and start helping Dad with the car and helping him with whatever he needs.
Right. Have you ever had the need to, where there's been a conflict with a racing schedule and school, where you've had to kind of leave school a little bit early?
There hasn't been conflict with school, but there's been
Soccer.
conflict with soccer.
Right.
Like I would have a soccer game on Saturday, and I wouldn't go to the game on Saturday because racing is more of my path.
Right.
Soccer is just something I do to keep in shape and stuff like that.
And I would hope that the coach would be understanding and accommodating for that.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Gotcha. Now, tell me a little bit about obviously keeping up with your curriculum, your academic curriculum. Like, how is this a challenge? Are you having a hard time with this? Is this hard to balance? Is this like, are you putting in a lot of hard work to make this happen? Are you, as your dad's driving to the track to the next race, are you in the backseat reading, or studying something for like a next test? Is this a hard thing to balance on a weekly, a weekend type of schedule?
No, it's not really hard to balance, and for some reason they don't really give us that much homework and stuff like that. So if I do get homework, I normally just do it during the week when
Right.
we're just working on the car. I try to not bring any of my curricular activities or homework and stuff like that to the racetrack. I just try to leave that all behind. That's where I
Right.
let all my stress go and just focus on racing.
Senior, I think, everyone has to be in the right mindset in preparation for a race, right? you have to. Everyone has to get dialed in, and I'm sure you're busy with what you're busy with on a weekly basis, right? Not only in approaching this from the aspect of I want to be there for my son, but also from the aspect of I want to make sure we're set up so we win, right? Are you doing something for yourself personally to flip that switch and turn off your work life and get into racing mode? Do you like lock yourself in a closet for an hour and like blast Metallica, or what are you doing to like dial yourself in every week?
Nothing really, because we're always thinking about it.
Yeah,
So it just nothing. We just as soon as we come home, it's racing.
yeah. I guess when you live it, it's just in the fiber of everything you're doing.
Right. We could be eating dinner, racing.
Yeah, I
Folding
gotcha.
laundry, it's racing. No matter what. We could be going to the store and we're gonna race. We're gonna race to the car. So
Right, I gotcha. That's exactly what I want to hear. Is that when you hear something like that, you're just oozing race. It's in your blood. I mean, you don't even have blood. You have motor oil. You just you get cut. You just drip oil. I mean, that's awesome. Uh, so let's move forward here. I mean, Junior, I'm sorry again. How old? 15?
I'm 14.
14. Might be a little bit early, right? You're 14, but and you're a freshman. But where do you see yourself once you hit 18, high school, you graduate? What's the thought? Have you given some thought to this? Like what is this is that going to be your key evaluation time for you and your family? Like, okay, here we are. We've achieved this. These are now our options, or do you already have it in your head that you have a very clear path?
I don't really have a clear path yet. All I know is I'm hoping to have a job and either having my own place or still living with my parents.
Right. I think I'm asking a little bit more from the racing perspective, right? Meaning you've achieved, say you're at a point in your career where you've just won, right? And you keep winning and you're at a certain, you've achieved goals in what you've wanted to do with your racing career. Are you thinking, okay, I'm going to college and I'm going to race? Or do you have it in the back of your head that I've achieved this, I'm going to stay with this, and I might put school off for a year, or I might put school off longer than a year? Like, what's the mindset? What's the track, the line of thinking there? Seeing you jump in here.
Um, I don't really want to go to college. I
Right.
want to be a train engineer, so I want to go to trade school, and I'm just going to stick with racing. And I don't want to deal with any more schooling after high school.
he has told us repeatedly
Yeah.
when he turns 18, he's gonna move down to North Carolina
Oh,
with his grandparents so he can continue racing.
And what are your thoughts on that, Senior?
We'll see where we're at then. If he's successful in doing well, I'm not about to stop him. I'm going to let him do what he wants to do.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll just see where we're at then.
You guys have such a great relationship. I have such a good sense of it. Like you guys are just, the communication is good. There's like this trust level between the two of you. It's really refreshing and very nice to see. So, which is great. What I want to do here is, I'm going to fire up your Facebook page, and we're going to take a look at that together. Bear with me one second. And let me do this. Bear with me. Okay. So On the screen now, we have your Facebook page. And I want you to be able to share with some of the viewers exactly what you have to offer, how we can keep up with juniors racing, and anything else you want to share here. I think first thing we see is this little punk with a big helmet on.
We were at Pioneer Valley Indoor Karting in Hatfield, Mass. When Matthew was racing karts, they sponsored him. They gave him a ton of free track time, and
Oh,
that's
that's
really
great.
fun there.
That's huge. And you know what I'm going to do, because I do want to go through. Let's go through some photos together. So if we look at all photos, first one we have is this number 74 car. Is that the car you're currently racing?
That is not the car I'm currently racing. That is a Integra that I raced for a buddy of mine. His name's Justin Littlewood,
Mm-hmm.
and I got in a little incident with my normal car, and he asked me if I wanted to drive that for him for a race, and I said yes, and we drove it at Claremont Speedway, our last race of the season.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else? I'm just going to cruise through these, but tell me if I should be honing in on one thing you want to share or another from this collection of photos. We're coming up on a yellow car here with some minor scratches.
That is the car that he races all the time.
That is the car I got in a minor incident with. I kind of got put in the wall a little bit coming off a turn 4 with like 3 laps to go in the main event.
Got it. And when you see damage on a car like this, who is it that is making the repairs on that?
Me and my dad were. Now that we are done racing and stuff like that, all the time we're in the garage just trying to get it ready for next year.
Excellent. And let's take a look. This looks like your car is the same car.
That is the same car. That is I'm pretty sure when I got second place for the second time in my first year in cars, which was this year.
That's great. And that looks like a Mark II GTI?
That is a Mark III
Mark III GTI.
Golf, no GTI.
It's a regular Golf chassis.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Very good. Now tell us a little bit about some of the work that's been done to this car to make it prepped for this series.
It is a completely stock car. There's nothing you're allowed to do to the motor or anything. All it has is a cage, a couple gauges, and switches, and that's about it. And next year, it's not going to have a stock fuel tank. You're allowed to put a fuel cell in there, which is safer.
Right.
So we're going to put that in there in the off season. And you have a full containment seat.
A full containment seat. Very good. So other than that, it's a regular Golf.
Yep, basically.
Huh. Nice.
That is I'm pretty sure that's when I got my first podium ever, which was 3 races into the season in a car. My first 3 races in a car, I got second place, and that was me and my dad taking a picture.
That's great.
Once I brought it back to the trailer.
That's great. What are some of the other cars that I would see in this series showing up for this race?
You'd see Honda Civic, or no, wait, yeah, Honda
Civics, Integras,
Cavaliers, Golfs.
There's a Ford Probe.
Yep.
A Ford Probe. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Wow. Those used to be everywhere, and now they're nowhere. Right. This is great. What do we look at? This is the same car?
Yes, this is the same car. That's just me sitting in it, getting ready for a race or practice.
Awesome. Wow, you've grown so much. No, I'm kidding. That's like,
No,
That's my little brother.
oh, it's your little brother.
Yeah.
That's great.
We bring the whole family to racing.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So on race day, it's not just you and your dad. The whole family's gone.
No, it's my little brother, sometimes both my grandmas, my grandpa, my aunts and uncles, my cousins. Sometimes it's the whole family.
Wow. Okay, what are we looking at here?
We are looking at that's me in Florida.
You sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. That's one of my national events.
Right.
And if it's in Florida, I got first on Saturday and second on Sunday. If that's and in any of the other national races, I think I got first on both days.
That's great.
That was in Ohio. Yeah, that was in Ohio.
Yes, that was Ohio for sure.
Yeah.
That's great. Now with the carts, you both worked on the carts the same way, right? You kind of did you feel that the skills you learned junior with carts has helped you with working on your current car?
Yes, definitely, but it was definitely a different change because when I raced go-karts, I raced road course,
Right.
and changing over to a car and racing oval was definitely a big change.
You know, that's a very, very big point. And I think it's something that's maybe underplayed uh, with racers when I discuss racing with them is how different it is for someone who races ovals to go to a road course and people who are road course to go to an oval. And tell us what it was like making that change, right? Tell us what the most difficult part of racing for you was in going from the road course to the oval.
Um, Turning left, only left. That was the big change. In the road course, you turn left and right, and me only turning left, it was very big change.
Right.
And
Did you
just
find?
changing
Did
to
you
a
find?
car.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
I said also just changing to a car. That was also a humongous change.
Right. Did you find that it was easier to get into a rhythm with road courses or ovals? Like, like to dial in. Obviously, with a road course, you're dealing with, maybe 10, 12, 14 turns, and you have to worry about entry points, apexes, and exit points for each one of those turns, and each one of those turns is going to be a little bit different with those points. But with ovals, you just got to worry about two, right? Do you find it's easier to get into a rhythm with one or the other?
Well, I think I was more comfortable with go-karts, so I think it was easier to get into a rhythm with go-karts going from different track to different track. But now that I'm getting better with oval and a car, I think it's easier with an oval to get into the rhythm faster.
Right. And just due to the nature of the racing on an oval, what did you find to be the biggest challenge in oval racing?
Um, I found the biggest challenge was having the right line each and every time, and not the so at my local track, turn 1 and 2 is different than 3 and 4.
Right.
So maybe people who don't know oval racing, they think the corners are both the same,
Right.
and I found that really difficult to have a different line for each corner and not thinking it was the same.
Right.
Invisibility.
And
Invisibility. He
Yeah.
complains about a
Yeah.
lot.
With the visibility?
Yeah.
Correct.
From what sense? Expand on that a little bit.
In go-karts, you could just look over your shoulder and see if a car was there, and carts,
Right.
or with cars with with the head and neck restraints and the containment seats, you really can't see anything. And
Like
they're
looking
not
through the
allowed to
B
have
pillar or
mirrors.
something, and you can't really get a good view of something in your
Right.
blind spots. I got you. Interesting. It must be senior for yourself when you start hitting those oval tracks. You also had to kind of learn a little bit, right? You had to learn how to coach him on an oval in a sense, or maybe give him the proper feedback for an oval compared to what he was doing on a road course, correct?
It, I think that part is similar, but the car setups are completely different, and
Yeah,
we're learning that as we go. Trial
right,
and
right,
I
right.
think that's been the toughest thing.
Are you trying to extract what you can by watching other racers? Like what is your approach to improving? Do you go home and watch film? Are you videoing your races? Like how are you what tools are you using to improve yourself?
We watch videos. We have Justin, the kid that he had talked about earlier. His team helps us, gives us tips, and a lot of people there are just willing to help you that have been doing it for a long time, which is really nice. That's a big change from karting. It wasn't like that.
Right.
So that's awesome that so many people have helped us this year.
Yeah. That's invaluable. I mean, that's just incredible when you can get that experience handed to you. It's huge. Um, Anything from the Facebook page, I definitely want to share as much as possible with the viewers. Tell me, what is it from the Facebook page that you'd like to point out or draw attention to for the viewers?
Just go like Team Winter 15 on Facebook, and that way you can stay up to date on everything.
Yep. You guys are updating this pretty regularly, correct?
As
Yes.
much as we can, yeah.
Excellent.
Every time we're doing something, somebody posts it on there.
This video, the Heat AKRA in Maryland, how recent was this video?
That was from
Last summer.
last summer, yes.
Take a look at that. Let me see.
So near the checkered flag.
Excellent. And that's you in that yellow green car.
Yep.
Correct.
What's the displacement on those cars?
It's a Briggs 206. I don't know all of the
Right, right,
specs on it. It's a sealed engine.
right. And what was the what kind of speeds were you seeing on that, Junior?
Uh, on certain tracks, like say I was in Florida, I was reaching speeds of 50 to 60 because they had a mile long straightaway.
Right.
And like maybe um, other tracks like 40 or 50.
Excellent. They
That,
definitely
that track that he was on
Oh,
in the
that was a
video that
heat
you're
ending.
watching is that was a pretty small track.
definitely a cool little track though.
It was fun for sure.
Yeah, it looks like fun. I'd want to whip around there.
It was a good time.
Excellent. Excellent. So as we start to maybe wind down here, I think some of the things that viewers would want to know is from an advice standpoint for other fathers with their sons. I think seeing for yourself, what is the best advice you can give to other fathers out there that are trying their best to support their kids in pursuing basically a career in racing? What is your best piece of advice there?
Just be good in marketing so you can get sponsors, because I'm terrible at it.
That's great from the racing standpoint, right? From the parental standpoint, and I definitely want to draw attention to it because it is unique. That you're involved to this degree with your son, but from a parental standpoint, what have you learned just from living it day in and day out that you would want to share with other parents that are just starting to go through it?
just go do it. If your child wants to go do it, just do it. Find something that you can afford to race. The memories that you make are second to none.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
that's all I got. You just go do it. You'll have fun. Somebody at the track will help you
Yeah,
and help guide you.
yeah, that's awesome. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that the memories are priceless, and that those experiences that you guys share together. I mean, I'm sure that there's countless of people, amounts of people that envy the fact that you guys have the ability to share that together. So that's a great thing. Junior, so you're 14. You have you see a little kid at the track with a helmet on. Maybe he's 11, 12, and he asks you a question or something. Or you want to guide him. What kind of advice do you have for someone who's aspiring, someone who's younger than you, that is really into it, that's starting maybe in karts, and they definitely want to get better? What advice would you give to someone who's a little bit younger than you to stay, to kind of be successful and stay with it?
Um, Stay with it is definitely have a commitment to it. Uh, if they were asking me for a tip or something, I'd give them the tip if I knew it. But if I don't know about it, I would just be like, sorry, I don't know that much about that, or something just like that. Just stay committed. That's the big thing.
Right. In Junior, in being the 2018 national champion for the series you were in, do you find that you're harder on yourself? Like, are you kind of really pushing yourself? Are you trying to live up to an expectation? Like, you know what? I'm a national champion in this. I did this. I have to be national champion in that. Like, are you really pushing yourself based on knowing what you're capable of?
Definitely. If I know I'm doing something bad, I'm very hard on myself, and that's where my dad comes in and helps me and calms me down and stuff like that. Say I'm doing really bad on the track, I'll come in mad as a hornet, and then dad will just calm me down and be like, "Hey, maybe try this next time, and maybe it'll work."
Yeah.
And I'll try to do this to help you with the car.
Yeah.
I definitely hold myself to a higher standard now that I'm a national champion and I've won a lot of races in go-karts.
Yeah. That's excellent. I think from the parent standpoint, senior, you see this fire in him to succeed. Do you fuel that fire, or do you try to kind of contain it? Not sort of push back, but maybe not go overboard a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I fuel it.
You fuel it.
Absolutely. I like it just as much as him, and it's
That's great.
just how we are.
That's awesome. So here we are. We're in October of 2019. Junior, tell me a little bit about what's going on for the remainder of this year of 2019. Anything on the schedule?
Just get the yellow car, the Golf, ready for next season, and hopefully we can get it ready for opening night and hopefully win it. That's
Yeah.
my
It'll be
goal.
ready.
That's my goal, is to win opening night of next year.
So opening night is when? Do you have a date set, or is there a calendar already out?
They don't have their calendar out yet, and we don't have a set date yet.
Right, but from experience, do you have an idea when it might be? Like month wise?
January.
I would assume April.
Yeah.
You know, this was our first year with the local track, so I'm not sure, and we started kind of late getting
Right.
the car and everything situated.
Right. And how does the car look right now? The car looks doable, like it's going to be manageable to get fixed, or what's sort of like
Absolutely.
your thoughts on it?
It'll be ready. There's no motor in it. There's nothing in it.
You
It's
took
just a
everything
bunch
out
of
already?
jack stands.
It's was there frame damage on it or no?
Yes,
Oh, okay. So that's why you got to make sure that.
but we've gotten most of that dealt with,
Yeah, good.
and then we got the motor when the incident that he was talking about. The block got cracked, but we have a friend that gave us a motor and a transmission for it, so we're all set.
That's great. Um, I think, you know, we're gonna, as we start to wrap up, I'm going to give you that opportunity for both of you. I think primarily Junior though, to give a shout out. Obviously, you're surrounded by friends, family, people who have supported you. Tell me, you have it. Go ahead, give some shout outs.
Well, first I want to say thank you to this guy right here, my dad, my stepmom, my mom, both my grandmas, my grandpas, to the Little Woods and my friend George, just everyone who's helped out with the car. And if you have a ride, I will drive it for you.
That's fun. The For the sponsors who may be watching this, you never know, right? What is the best way for them to reach out and contact you?
Contact us through Facebook, email us, teamwinter15@gmail.com. Those are the two best ways to reach out to us.
Excellent. That's great. Senior, Junior, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you very much for giving the insight into a very unique relationship. I mean, this is great. I'll be honest. I didn't expect to see this level of, I guess, synergy between the two of you. Right? You guys are close. You can see the trust. You can see the communication, and most of all, you can see the love, which is great. So it's you guys support each other. You have a great thing going on. I congratulate you on all your success, and I think it would be foolish for anyone to doubt the success that is definitely headed your way in the future. So I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope we can follow up with each other in the future. Give us an update. Let us know where you stand. But
Absolutely.
Yep.
yeah, I look forward to it. But thank you again, and to all the viewers out there on the watching us via the Flying 180 Motorsports YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned for obviously more interviews in the future. But I hope everyone has a great evening, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.